Hello my crafty friends, this is Monica from Also Petite. Welcome back to this Kate bag video series. If you want to make the Kate bag with me, then you will need to purchase the pattern on my website. The link can be found in the description box. In the previous video, we assembled the handles, strap connectors, and the external front pockets. In this video, we will complete the external front and back panels and attach the handles. Let's get sewing! Take the side panels and with right sides together, we are going to line them up on each side of the pockets. As you can see, the side panels are shorter than the front pockets, but don't worry, we will trim them to the same size after sewing the seam. Because I fussy cut the fabric to match the wolf print, I am going to align the side panels with the bottom edge of the pockets. However, in the sewing instructions, I tell you to line them up at the top edge. It doesn't really matter how you do it. The only difference here is that I will have to trim the top panel, which will be a little bit narrower. With right sides together, place the side panel on top. Line it up and clip everything together. Just make sure to keep the flap out of the way, especially around the zipper, because there is a limited space to sew. We are going to sew the seams using 1 cm seam allowance. Once you've stitched both seams, you can take them to the pressing station because we need to press the seam allowance towards the side panels. After that, you can top stitch along both seams. Now we can trim off the excess fabric. I like to draw a line as a guide to ensure I cut it straight. Now that we have assembled the front panel, we can turn it over so we can add the remaining foam stabilizer. Line up the stabilizer on the wrong side of the fabric, pin it in place on all sides and then baste it the same way we've done for the other pieces. Take one of the bottom panels and with right side facing each other, place it on top of the front panel and align the bottom edges. You're going to clip it and sew the seam using 1 cm seam allowance. Then repeat on the back panel. Before I top stitch the seam, I prefer to reduce the bulk by trimming off the stabilizer. First I need to unpick the basting stitch. After that I can trim the stabilizer as close to the seam as I can. I will repeat the process on both sides. When you are ready, take it to the pressing station and press the seam allowance towards the bottom panel. After that, you can top stitch along the seam. This is optional, but I like to add a metal tag at this point, and I center it about 2 cm from the seam. I use metal tags with prongs, and the process to install them looks the same as for the magnetic snap closure. On the right side of your back panel, measure about 3 cm down from the top edge and mark a position of strap connectors. Line up the connectors below the lines and stitch back and forth few times inside the seam allowance. If you are installing rivets to your handles, then mark 2 rivet holes on both ends. I like gadgets and often use a rivet placement guide that Jo from Country Cow Designs has recommended in one of her videos. I got mine from Kelosphere. Then you can punch the rivet holes. On the right side of the front and back panels, mark the handle placement 12 cm from the top and 10 cm from the side. Take your handle and line up one end at the marking. Then you can trace the rivet placement. If you are not installing rivets, line up the handles at the markings and stitch them in place. Then you can punch the rivet holes on both the front and back panels. I prefer to use rivets because my fabric is quite thick and I worry that I won't be able to stitch through all the layers. Whenever that is the case, I like to add additional piece of stabilizer to strengthen the area behind the rivets, because it will hold the most amount of weight. Once I'm ready, I can set the rivets in using my hand press. That is all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. If you want to finish the Kate bag, make sure to join me in the next video. See you next time. Stay crafty, friends.